last deeper look of the season. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Moira. I'm the artistic coordinator here and the assistant director for this lovely production. I want to introduce you to our lovely playwright, Ben Diskant. And director of the show, but also artistic director here at Barrington, Alan Paul. So raise your hand if you've seen the show already. Okay, a few, and then the rest are coming later. So we won't do any big spoilers, but we will get you really primed to see it. We'll open it up to audience questions towards the end, but I want to get us started with Ben. How did this story come to be? What was the initial seed of inspiration?
Yeah, I wanted to write a love story, and I wanted to set it in a place where someone could be healed, and the Berkshires to me has always been a place of just beauty and healing and relaxation and community, and there was something about this area that has always spoken to me. My parents have been coming up here for decades, and so I have great ties to this community, and because I have no responsibility here, my parents own a house, I don't. It's really a place that I can go to escape, and so I thought this was a perfect place to write a love story. So yeah.
And as far as love stories go, this is not normally your genre of choice, right?
Right, yeah. No, I tend to write about people who have trapped themselves in life and they don't know it. And the entire play takes them to realize that they've trapped themselves and have the opportunity to break free. And usually the last moment of anything that I write is a step into the light, a step towards freedom. And the hope is that that person then moves on changed. And when I wanted to write a love story, I wanted to write a love story on my terms. So for those of you who have seen it, you will appreciate what I'm saying. And for those of you who haven't, I think all four people in this play are stuck in their lives and they are not aware of it. And by the end of it, they have a miracle, and they all are set free and have the opportunity to change and fall in love with themselves again.
Yeah, it's lovely to see some of the tropes or the hallmarks of the genre. We see handwritten love letters, yes. We see the one that got away, but you have found a fresh way to have a new lens on it, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Was that difficult?
Yeah, we Moira, it was wonderful on this process. Like, she has helped me so much and just been like a kindred spirit in terms of like the romanticism of stuff. So yes,
I love love stories.
Yeah, I appreciate love stories, but I have never written a love story. They just seem far away from me. And again, I'm not really interested in people who I'm not interested in people who are healed by meeting someone else and falling in love. I'm more interested in people who can heal themselves. I don't know why, maybe I need a therapist, but it's but yeah, I think like in my inexperience in love stories, I turned to The Notebook, and I turned to Light in the Piazza and Bridges of Madison County and the musical and film Once. So I just kind of watched and investigated all of those stories and tried to pull what I wanted, like handwritten love letters and big sweeping gestures, and then tried to make them useful to the story, but also true to myself.
Yeah, no, and it's a really lovely combination of, this is a thing I recognize from these movies that I love so much, and I absolutely rewatched The Notebook while we were in rehearsals. But then, of course, it's not what you expect it to be, which is really exciting. And Alan, how did this play end up at Barrington?
Well, Ben came up to do a workshop, actually at Berkshire Theater Group, of the play, and I remember that night because he said he was here and we had dinner at the Red Lion Inn. It was like April, so no one else was up here, and it was raining
And dark.
and dark. And you said you're writing a play, and I didn't think much about it because you were at the beginning of writing it, I think. And then last summer, Ben sent the play to me, and it's so unusual that I'll read a play in the summer because it's so busy here. And I read it though, and I thought it was great, and I called him and I said, I have nothing constructive to say because I'm not planning, but it was really good, and I'm so surprised that this play sort of tumbled out of you. And then we had an opportunity of an opening in the fall to do something, and I made the decision to do the play in April of this year. And I called Ben, who was in Hawaii, and I said, do you have time for a work call? And
I'll take a work call if I'm in Hawaii.
yeah, exactly. And I said, I think, how would you feel if we produced the play? And you go, like, in theory, I said, no, I actually am really thinking of doing it. And then we, about a couple days later, I didn't want to call and make Ben the actual offer, so I had our associate director call Ben and say, can we talk numbers? And Ben was on the street going, does that mean you're doing my play? It was very fun to do it that way.
Yeah.
But the play is about, it's a love story, but two things really drew me into it. The first is that it's about the Berkshires, and before I came here 3 years ago, my version of the Berkshires was coming in for a weekend and going to all the more tourist things, and I thought it was Broadway summer camp between Williamstown and this theater and Berkshire Theater Group, and I didn't get involved with anything locally. And when I came here 3 years ago, I had no understanding about GE and the relationship of that to Pittsfield and all of these local places that people that live here love. And I thought it was a sort of Valentine to that. But beyond just the local aspect, which I find charming, it's about a writer trying to make sense of the past. And it's a memory play in many respects. And you hear from 4 different people many years after what is the most consequential weekend in their lives. And they don't just come out and tell you what they felt at the time. It's sort of a puzzle for the audience about what the writer feels, about how one person remembers the past and someone else remembers it differently. And it was such a complicated, interesting theatrical device to have third-person narration. And that really pulled me into it, and I thought it gave the play a level of theatrical complexity that it wouldn't have had if it was just a presentational love story. And that has been, we have these bugs in here because these are real trees. And no one told us when you put real trees on stage, they're bugs. And then I said to the set designer, the red leaves are fake, but the green ones are real. And I said, well, this play runs a couple weeks. I don't see any water. And he goes, it will get more autumnal as the run goes on. But the narration, for those of you that have seen it, you probably don't even question it. It kind of feels straightforward. You understand, for the most part, what's going on. It was one of the most challenging pieces for the 4 actors to figure out how to do, because sometimes they're saying something that is disconnected from the feeling of the past. They're reporting on something that happened without emotion. And sometimes they are reliving what happened to them in a way that is very emotional, even if the text doesn't make it sound as though it is. And so it's been a really interesting, fun, enervating process to do that. And I've never done stuff like that before. So
Yeah.
Fun to work on.
Yeah, it's been cool to watch Alan push the actors to. At certain points, it looks like the text is just saying something, but if you actually emotionally go there, it's a completely different experience. And I have to hand it to you for really getting them to do the work.
Yeah.
It's been exciting to watch.
But it's been an exercise of imagination, because there's a section where the 2 brothers are talking about what happened to in their past, and the language itself about there's some traumas they survived is not very emotional, but what's going on between the two brothers at the time is a negotiation of, how much they're going to deal with what happened to them. And so there's no subtext written on the page, but you invent a subtext to go with it that imbues it with meaning, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a fascinating device, and not one that I had ever seen, where we start the show with a writer trying to start writing the story, and then as we go through the whole show, you see the whole story come together. How much of the author's writing process mirrors your writing process?
Yeah, that's a great question. I just first I want to say the play The Inheritance does that, and so I knew I was in good hands to try that because it's an incredible play. But yeah, so I saw Light in the Piazza 2 summers ago. I was incredibly moved by a love story, and I decided I wanted to write a love story. And so I sat down to write, and that's what this author does. And then as I was writing the play, there became a love scene that I had to actually write. And I was just feeling so cringe about it. And I thought, I'm gonna just put that into the play. And so it was like a thrilling moment for me to be like, I'm curious about this moment, let me follow it. And so I did. And so one of the characters stops the action and addresses the cringe aspect of the scene. And I was like, this is the play, this is what I wanna write. I wanna write people negotiating how to tell this story. I wanna go in and out, I wanna jump around in time. And so the author is not me, but there are certain aspects of him that I just used my own experience with love stories to imbue the story.
And two things. If you were to look at our printed copy of the script, of 76 pages of a script, at the top you'll see new page September 6th, new page September 11th, new, because we've changed a lot.
Yeah.
And often when you do a new work, you have a week of a workshop where you can hear it out loud. It's often very different to hear it than it is to read it. And because we programmed this in April, we just put our foot on the gas and went. And Ben has been unafraid to change, cut, rewrite full scenes. I mean, it's been really fun to have a writer that's not scared of change. Because I've been through a process where the writer didn't want to change anything. And you're like, but this isn't, what are you talking about? I'm not going to tell you what play that was, but it was, so this was really fun. It was, in a way, I think because Ben, you have experience writing musicals. In a musical, they're far less precious about, add 12 bars, do this, cut this, add this, and it's more workmanlike sometimes than a playwright who's, takes it very seriously. And so it's been fun to just figure it out with the 4 actors. And the other thing I was going to say is, you brought up The Inheritance. My best friend happens to be an actor and a director who opened a production of The Inheritance yesterday. So we have been comparing notes about narration, because the challenges of doing it are the same in that play. And so I think, so what did you do when, how did you twist the knife into getting it done? And so, interesting parallel journey.
Yeah, it's been very exciting throughout the process to be like, the things you don't even realize you're gonna end up changing.
Totally.
You're in the room, you're like, oh yeah, this has always worked in my brain, and then someone says something like, why do they say this? And you go, oh my god, and it opens up a whole...
The other thing that you won't hear the perspective on, but you can appreciate, is like, how many people out here could memorize a full page of dialogue in a day? Anyone? Any takers? So we're giving these folks, we'll give it to them the night before, but it's going into the show tomorrow. So not only do they have to learn it, then they have to not psych themselves out from, being fearful of forgetting it. And it's amazing to work with actors that are willing to do it. And that's what's different about a new play, is the actors, they want to be a part of it, and they have to take a different level of risk, because it is going to change more than a play that it just is what it is. And it
really did. I mean, on Tuesday, we had a new climactic scene that we put in the afternoon, or maybe it was Wednesday. I don't remember.
And Thursday, a new opening.
Yeah. So it really has been changing up until the last minute, and it's been cool to have actors who are smart enough to be able to defend their characters and to question why they're doing what they're doing. And it's been, I mean, there was a week where I was rewriting huge scenes, and I was just alive. I was so happy. I was so excited to change the script. Because that's why we're here. Theater is collaborative in every aspect, and so if something isn't working, it has to change, and you may not know it until you're in the room with other people.
You don't. You don't.
Yeah, and it's interesting as a playwright, as a director, you're seeing the whole piece. You know, you're having like sort of the zoomed out vision of it. But when you're an actor, you're like focused on your character, their arc, their growth, and so they notice things that maybe you haven't thought about yet, and vice versa. And so that collaboration is always really exciting.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, sometimes an actor wants a scene because they want their character to go a different direction,
Right.
and that's also important for us to know that it's like we are here to defend the story. And so if an actor wants a certain scene, we have to know if that's actually helpful to the play, as opposed to just helpful to that actor who wants a moment. So it's been collaboration on all aspects.
Yeah, advocating for your work is so important and kind of a difficult skill to hone.
Yeah.
What was the biggest surprise for you both throughout this process? What was the thing that you learned or came up against that you really truly just did not anticipate? Or
I could start.
Sure.
And just say, in the age of cell phones and internet, the idea of true romance is a difficult one for younger people to capture. And I think these four actors have done a beautiful job. But to find the purity of that expression is not as easy in a modern setting as it was, you know, in a 90s rom-com with Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks. And it's been a fun and interesting challenge to find real purity of a romantic sentiment in all four of these actors. And I think they've had a lot of fun kind of figuring that out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I honestly, just for me, the most surprising thing was how much I had to change. I thought the play was really good, and then I was like, oh wait, actually there's a lot that needs to be changed. But I'm also grateful for that. So.
Yeah, and as far as obviously through the writing and the rehearsal of it, then we go into the last step of it, which is putting it on stage with lights, with sound, with costume, and then ultimately with audience. What was exciting about that part of it beyond the writerly aspect? To step back for a second and see it be completely produced.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I've been working on this play for almost 2 years, and I have a vision in my head of what everything is going to look like and how it's going to sound, how it's going to move along, and theater is completely collaborative. And so a costume designer comes in and has their own ideas, and so suddenly I was very moved when we saw the sketches for all the costumes. I was like, someone has taken the time to care about a character that has been in my head, and now they are alive and dressed, and it's so cool. And a lighting designer has come in and helped tell the story of when we're in time and when we're out of time. And a set designer has created this gorgeous world that helps evoke the Berkshires. And so it's hard in a rehearsal room where we don't have any of that stuff. We don't have costumes, we don't have lights, we don't have the set, and to step in here and then it all comes alive.
Yeah. Was there any specific conversations you had with the designers about bringing specifically the Berkshires to life in our space?
Well, I sent the set designer Wilson Shin, you sent pictures of the lake that this takes place on, because I think if you haven't been to those homes or been in where that is, it's hard to imagine what makes it so special. And you know, and the play jumps between so many locations. There's no way to have any realistic scenery. You need a little bit of stuff. You need a little bit of furniture, I think. But other than that, it's all mood. And so creating the tone of the lighting and the sound and the music was really important in shaping the piece. And music is a big part of the show. Sometimes it's instrumental music like you would have on the soundtrack, and sometimes it's music they're actually listening to, which is Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and a lot of James Taylor, and there's some Billy Joel. And one person came up to me at the first preview and said, "Thank you for all that music. It evokes a whole world up here of what this feels like." And you see there's a lot of records and a record player right here.
Yeah.
So
My favorite part, I have to say, is this backdrop of the Berkshires, which is hand painted, which is crazy to me. And every day we would come in and the painter would be adding like a little bit more foliage, a little bit more reds coming in, a little bit more detail. And those of you who've seen the show have seen how lighting affects it. You can light the back of it in all these different colors, and it really feels like the skyline here. It's really stunning.
yeah, I was driving to like Eastern Lenox over there on a break, and I went, "Oh, that's the set."
Yeah, quite a
I mean,
bit.
I'm not the set because that's like Mackinac, but someone said to me they had no idea Lake Mackinac and the Stockbridge Bowl were one and the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. Where have you been?
We're here to educate.
I want to know how you picked all the local references.
Yes.
I mean, again, I've been coming here my whole life, so I put everything in that I actually cared about. I love Taft Farms. I mean, like, I wish I'd put Berkshire Mountain Bakery in there because I love going there.
You just want freebies.
I don't know. I just picked the locations that always meant something to me, and so the Red Lion Inn is such an obvious, easy choice. But it's. I hope it doesn't come off as pandering because it's actually like it actually means something to me. We would bike ride to the Red Lion Inn. We would go, and the treat was to have lemonade on the porch when I was a kid, and then bike right back. Or I don't remember what was the lost land back in the 90s, but we'd get a treat at there and go back. Or my parents and I we rode to Taft Farms and we got a pie, and we were going to save it, but like we ended up going to the Norman Rockwell Museum, and then with our plastic forks we just sat and ate the whole pie. So it's just all these places do have deep meaning to me. I love it up here. I'm so happy up in the Berkshires, and I feel like I was trying to honor the fact that my perspective is of privilege, and that like the Berkshires has a completely different meaning to people who live here full time that I probably will never understand. But there's just so much beauty and healing and a lot of bread that I like to eat up here. So.
Well, I'd love to open it up to any questions from you all. Just a reminder that we want to end with a question mark, not a period. So they have to be real questions and not just comments. Right here. You have your hand up.
Yeah, my one question is the dollhouse.
Yeah.
What was the inclusion of that? It just sort of sticks out. It doesn't make sense. It wouldn't be in their apartment in New York. It wouldn't be in their house up here. What?
Oh, it's just a little image of the actual house to put up there.
Yeah, why? No, I understand why.
Have you seen the show Ragtime ever?
Yeah.
It starts out with a little house on stage. That's why.
It's just sort of suggestive. It's kind of nice. We have scenes that take place out in the backyard looking out at the lake, and we will light up the house behind us, and it kind of feels like that's the house back there and they're down at the lake.
Yeah. I also want to just play with it, but
I know. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like suggestive of the space we're in. It's never literally exactly this room, Yeah.
I have two questions. First, kind of a silly one. Is it really true that Taft Farms does not make it does? It doesn't doesn't have anything to do with the play.
No, they do.
Okay.
Yes.
My other question is, I haven't seen it yet, but I did get the
How
script.
did you know that?
Because I have the script for other reasons.
Ah.
But-
How did you get the script?
Because I'm doing this talk about it.
Oh,
for
Oh, you are.
Friday.
Oh, good, good. I'm so
So I
glad.
don't know whether, but
Well, the script has also changed so many times.
Well, I'm sure it has, but the one thing, I thought it was going to be an open stage and things were going to be pulled out.
Yeah.
Now, what made you change it to be this beautiful set?
Well, there's another version of this that is an open stage that I, thought that could work too. There are so many transitions that I didn't want to move scenery around. It just felt like we would always be moving scenery.
Right.
So this is one version of it, but perhaps if we do a second version, there's one version I thought it's just a raised platform with leaves.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Other questions? Yes.
How old are the actors supposed to be? Are they in their 30s? Are they in their 40s?
They're in their 30s and they play everything from, looking back, they're probably in their 40s, and when you meet them, some of them are in their early 20s, and so you just pick a neutral age and,
Yeah, mid-30s.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think in 1996 they're in their mid-30s.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
We saw the play on Friday and enjoyed it. If we came back 2-3 weeks from now and saw it again, do you think we'd be seeing a very different play, and would we recognize the changes?
Well, you would be seeing a different play. You might not recognize the specifics, but you might feel it's more lived in. I mean, I think one of the things that is so difficult about getting reviews for a play is that 3 weeks in, the actors have done it so many times that they discover not big things that are different, but little nuances, where they get more confident about where the laughs are. I mean, on Friday night we'd only done it 2 times, and so we might have gotten a small laugh on something, and then they were more confident Wednesday, and they got a bigger laugh, or they figured out a new way to get I mean, so it's just, it deepens with time. So I would say, come back in 3 weeks and see if these trees still have any leaves on them. Yeah.
Yes.
So I also saw it Friday, and I enjoyed it. How well do you think this would play outside the Berkshires?
That's an interesting question. I only did it thinking about a local audience. However, the set designer, Broadway set designer, said this could easily be done in New York because, the thing about when you're writing something universal, you have to make it specific, And so they might not have the same joy over Taft Farms because they don't know it, but the overall thing I think could translate. So I don't know. What do you think?
I've been thinking about that too. My intent was for it to be here, so I'm just very grateful that it exists at all. But yeah, I don't know. I would be curious. I mean, so much of the response that I'm hearing is for a lot of the local stuff, and that's very I'm grateful for that. But I don't know. I don't know how anyone who doesn't experience this area would respond to it. My hope is that the actual play, the meat of the play, the 4 people are universal. But yeah, I think that's a good question.
Yeah, and it's been fun actually. The actors are all New Yorkers who have come in and don't necessarily know this area and don't know the references. And so over the course of our time here, we brought in a pie from Taft Farms for them to try, and they have their list of all the places that they want to go on their day off, and they have been very surprised at the response of certain lines that they were like, oh, that line about Tanglewood really slaps. I didn't expect that.
They love the one about the intersection by the
Yes.
red
Yeah.
light.
Yes.
We were like, you gotta go look at it because you'll get it immediately.
Which apparently they don't have a stoplight there because in the Norman Rockwell painting,
No.
there wasn't a stoplight.
That's a terrible
That's a
reason.
lie. Never mind. I'm spreading falsities.
It's been fun having it set in the 90s. Obviously, we did it for several reasons, but all the references to like, oh, there's a new Norman Rockwell, museum is fun because obviously we're so used to having it for so long now, and
Yeah, I was gonna put the Lee outlets in there, but and it didn't end up there. But I
A
think
local treasure.
I think the Lee outlets opened in like 1996 or around
Yeah,
there.
but that's not as romantic as.
No, I know, but I wanted to establish like the changing area, and I went to the Lee outlets on Friday, and I was just like, oh wow, it's just sad.
It's not exactly amazing. Yes.
As an author, with what you just mentioned, do you have legal concerns when you mention specific real places in your plays?
Yeah, no, I thought about that, but my hope is that I'm not defaming anybody, and my hope is that every reference is respectful of them, and so no, I'm not concerned. But if anyone was offended by it, I would absolutely consider not having it in the play. That's not the intent. Is a love story for the Berkshires.
If Taft Farms files a lawsuit, would you contribute to our legal fund?
Actually, I think their business is gonna pick up.
Yeah, they owe you a pie.
Yeah.
Did you not leave this play wanting a pie?
I'm going there from here.
From here?
Actually, I'm going back to New York from here, but I mean, I have a house up here, like right by Beechwood. So I mean, I know.
So you know
I
it
look
all?
out, I see that
Yeah.
from my house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I
Beautiful.
relate to it very well.
Other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised that you said in the introduction that the characters don't really know that they're stuck. I thought that the character of Alan was very stuck, so I'm surprised to hear
Yeah,
you
no,
say that.
you're-
Can you comment?
No, you're absolutely right about him. That
Oh,
was a universal statement that was slightly untrue. You're absolutely right. Alan is stuck, and he knows he's stuck.
You think Beth is also aware that she's stuck?
Yeah. It's like a yes. I think she's aware that she's stuck, but I don't think she knows how stuck she is or how bad things are.
Right.
And I think there's a deepening of that that happens throughout the play. But yeah, no, you are absolutely right.
It's a very relatable thing with Beth of like, she feels stuck, but she's like, maybe if I just, put it off or put on this performative thing, and watching her character and other characters really start to like strip away all of their defenses and their walls and actually like reckon with what's at the core of it. I think that's what's really exciting about their journeys. Yeah. Did I see another hand? Yes.
I think I finally figured out how to ask this. I enjoyed it a lot. There's one level of complexity in that you have characters who are both acting their roles and speaking in the third person about their characters. And then there's variations in the ending, and then the whole thing is within the context of a written work. So do you think that sort of interferes with the suspension of disbelief, with the belief in the story that you're seeing from our perspective?
Ooh,
Yes.
Do you have an answer?
I think there's no intention to have any suspension of disbelief whatsoever. I mean, there's no realistic furniture. This sofa is in Jordan's house. It's in the narrator's place. The Berkshire's backdrop's up when they're in New York. They're obviously not young, and they're playing young. I mean, I think it's all meant to just be really theatrical and to be about the expression of navigating your past. And so I didn't make any attempt to try to be real whatsoever.
And I think a lot of the scenes we enter and we just get a split second of a moment, and so none of the scenes are really meant to be like in a real place. They're just a snapshot of something, the most heightened moment of that day or scene. And yeah, I think I don't know. I think I was never I always wanted us to be on a stage. I always wanted us to know we were on a stage, and that there was a story being happening. I don't know. I think you've answered the question actually.
Yeah, that's a really interesting
Yeah.
question. In the back.
What else have you written, and where can we see it? Because it was wonderful.
A fan emerges.
Thank you. Nothing that you can see at this moment. I have another play that I've written that takes place up here that I'm hoping will exist at some point, but not today. And I have two musicals that I'm trying to get readings of done in New York City, and that's about it at the moment.
You're also a visual artist.
I am. I'm an illustrator.
Fabulous.
I draw kids who love theater, essentially.
You can see them on Playbill, and yeah, they're really, really very cool.
But thank you.
Yes.
Is there a point where the play runs for a while and there won't be, you won't be interested in any further changes because you think you've gone as far as you can go, or it might be an actor as we cited the same lines for 2 weeks, and then it might be the very last few performances to try to switch it out, and are you there for all these performances? Is the director there for all these performances?
I'm on a plane out of here at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. No, there's an actors union that basically, when you open the show, this official opening, which is today at 3, we can no longer make changes. So, I think with a director and an author or playwright, we had to stop making changes 2 nights ago to give them a day to be able to do the show without us changing it because it affects their concentration. And but we were just saying we could go for another 2 weeks and rehearse 5 hours a day and change this, change that. It's not when we think it's done, it's when the calendar says it's done.
Yeah. I worked in a theatrical general management office in New York City, and I always romanticized Broadway shows that they have all the time in the world, and what you see on Broadway is exactly what they wanted. And what I realized is that even on Broadway you get to where you get to, and there are still things that you wish you could change and you just don't have time, and so what you see is what it is. But I think there's always stuff you would want to change, and maybe there's a world where I'll come back in 2 weeks and talk to the actors and see how they're feeling. What are things that they wish they could change now, knowing what they know, having run the show for 2 weeks.
How many performances have you observed yourself?
I've been here all week, so all 5 of them, and I'll be here today, and then I'll take a break from the play, and then I might come back in a week or 2 and just check back in and see how it's going and see how they're doing. But it's alive. The play is very much alive.
Yeah, that's why preview performances are so important, because you do all this work with just the people making it, and at a certain point you're until we know this last variable, which is an audience, we're not fully sure how everything is working or playing or what changes we'd want to make. So previews are the most exciting thing, because then you can come in the next day and say, oh, tweak this, and so to have as many as we've had has been a luxury, because now that we're opening today, we feel okay, we've seen it in performance a few times, we know what we have. But I had a director once say a new play isn't done until its 3rd production, because there's always you could do this somewhere else after and have all these things that you learned from this run and maybe make changes. So.
And the actors need space. They need us to go away so that they have permission to play. No, but really, you keep poking at them, and at some point it's let me have my space to have the performance that I need to create, and then maybe that will only happen in 2 weeks down the line, where they're oh, this is actually what it is, and that's thrilling to watch.
Yeah, letting go is the hardest part. As an artist, as a player, as a director, being okay, now the show is yours. Yes.
I think what people have to realize is that the beauty of theater is that it's live.
Mhm.
So it can never be the same all the time, and having read it, I realized what you read on the page is not what you're necessarily going to see on the stage. And it's just a human thing. I think actors react to an audience response, so it's never, people think, how can you do this, week after week after week, or even a year or more, sometimes with contracts on Broadway or other places. But it's the audience that really gives you that impetus, I think, and you do things. It's not like writing a book. Once it's written, you can't change it. But the beauty of having live theater is what's so important and what we absolutely cannot get rid of.
All right, we have time for one or two more.
So you've talked about this as a play about a love story, but how would you feel if someone described it as a play about self-awareness and discovery?
I would love that. I think there's a lot of it about falling in love with yourself and finding yourself and finding your own voice, and that the love stories that are happening are really just a vehicle to awaken.
Yeah.
But I would love that.
What else? Any final? So I'll have us end on, what do you hope?
I have a question.
Oh, you do? Come on in.
I love that you are really bringing in this healing idea and awakening. What is it that you're hoping for the audience?
Yeah, great.
You just took my question, how dare you?
I'm hoping that people leave and have just an opportunity to check in with themselves and just say, how am I doing? And where can I reconnect with myself? And maybe I am living the life that I want to be living, or maybe I'm not, but I have permission to reconnect with me and move forward as my authentic self. That's my hope.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, this has been lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been-